nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much and welcome. Do we have any adjustments to the agenda?
Yes, we do. Under new business 7, staff nominations, move to make it count for pre-K speech language pathologist. That name is probably familiar. Staff appointments, Crystal Belageron, Ed Tech 3, Special Ed, Sebastian Valley, and Lorna Jelenies, Ed Tech 1, Special Ed, EDS. That's it.
Good. Moving on. Approval of minutes of the board meeting for October 8th.
So moved.
Second. I hear a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Those opposed? It passes. Moving on to public comment. If there's anybody in the audience who would like to address the board, this is the time to do so. I see familiar faces out there. No? Did you have anything that you'd like to bring in front of the board? Okay, thank you. Moving on to administrative communications. I don't see any in the packet. No. Superintendent?
Yes, I have 3 things, or 4. First of all, if you haven't seen this magazine, I'll pass one way or the other. Tina Beverly and Somerset Elementary School are in there for a write-up. That's the Main Educator magazine. It's pretty neat. And then Yvonne Perry, which would be in the administrative report that I saw in my pack, was nominated and became the health teacher of the year for the state of Maine, and was recognized at the Maine Phys Ed conference last Monday, Tuesday. So nice things going on in our district. Presently, we have 64 students that are identified in special ed and pre-K. So that program is alive and well, so to speak. And we have 109 homeless students, which is a number we don't like to see is that high. The other thing I would say is that there was a golf story, and I don't know the young person's name, and I don't know if that's as important as right down there at the end of the table, like Skip. He was in the state tournament to earn his place to go, skip place to go to the state championship. And in one of the last few holes, and I may be wrong, he played the wrong ball in the fairway, and he admitted it. And a lot of students, I'm not going to speak, my own opinion would be that may not have always done that. But our young man, who at the end of the hole admitted that he played the wrong ball, lost the round by 1 stroke. So our team did not qualify to go to the States. But I'm like, the integrity of the columnist is that you come forward and you say what's right and what's wrong, and that's the way we compete in everything that we do. So I'm far more proud of this young person for what he did than I am. You know, I think he'll still have a chance, and we'll still have a chance for state championship next year. That's neither here nor there. It's that he had the integrity to call himself out in a competition where if he hadn't done that, he probably would have won. He would have qualified for states, and who knows what was that. But I just want you to know that that's the good story about what's happening in our schools, and I can't congratulate him enough. Some of you already probably know him, and if we really want to get his name out, Matt will probably tell us in a heartbeat. Coach Welch's son.
Please let him know that the school board appreciates his actions.
So that's what I have for my report. I'll probably talk during the committee reports as we go on.
Very good. Any questions for Mike? Moving on to reports. Any reports?
We had finance.
No. regular superintendent?
Oh, that wasn't it.
Okay. Board Chair, just a reminder, if you cannot make a meeting, please let us know, because we have board members that don't want to travel 25 miles to not have a meeting. So just send us a message, either email or call, and let us know you aren't going to attend. Moving on, reports of special committees, budget finance.
We met on October 15th. We reviewed the financials. Joe gives us a report every meeting. Everything seems to be on track there. Also happy with how the audit's going. It seems they have found everything they've needed and are working well with our department. It was presented to us for also a van purchase. This is a specific van for wheelchair accessible students, so that we're not taking a full-size bus, say for field trips or special events throughout the district, that we're able to just take a van with either an aide or another student plus wheelchair accessibility. So we did move that along and recommended that to transportation for purchase. The other thing that was discussed was the EDS boiler project, which I'm sure we'll go more into in the building and Mike's reports. That was it. Our next meeting is November 19th at 6:30 at the Soup's office.
Thank you. Any questions for budget? Moving on to building.
So we met October 9th. We will also meet again tomorrow, those of you who are interested or on the committee. We were discussing, actually it was a long meeting of having all of the folks in for the EDS boiler room project, which has expanded slightly because of the allowance for the, what's the right terminology?
Revolving renovation.
Revolving renovation fund, but it's a mechanical services partner. So it becomes more than just the project, but they also make recommendations to us on how to save money in that building and potentially other buildings as well. And so it's a very low interest or no interest grants and loans that we can acquire through that. So we reviewed mechanical services, energy management consultants, energy efficient investments, and Siemens, and selected Siemens as our partner of choice. Then we'll hear updates on where they're going with that tomorrow, and we'll be considering a few other things like what the status of the roof and stuff is.
Any questions for building? Brian?
Did they accept the contract, Mike, with the stipulation of the grant writing?
Yep, they finished the grant, yes, and they helped us write that, so we've submitted the grant for all the renovation fund. That was one thing.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Good building. Moving on to education. There's no meeting.
No meeting, and the next one's on the 3rd of December.
Okay. 3rd of December it is. Policy.
Policy committee met, and we have a number of policies to bring forward for first reading, admission of homeless students and immunization of students. And I would make a motion that we accept for first reading changes to admission of homeless students, and I believe that is just sort of a housekeeping to bring the policy up to date with current law.
Second.
Are you making a motion on both, or?
I could, and I would also make a motion, or add to that motion to accept for first reading changes to immunization of students. And that was 2 changes. One of them is to go from 1 to 2 doses of varicella, which I believe keeps us up to date with current law, and also adding an exception to the immunization requirements that is that whole paragraph there that essentially allows for an exemption that I guess is written into state law but wasn't included in our policy. Just that you can read it.
There is a motion on the floor to accept these for first reading, both JFABD and JLCB. Any discussion on the motion?
What did you say, Madam Chair? What did you say?
I said that these are up
No,
for,
you're looking for a second?
No, we already got it.
Thank you. You got it?
oh, sorry. Karina?
Just confirming, these additions are just because this is what state law, we have to be able to put it.
Correct. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Those opposed? It is for first reading.
So for second reading, we have public participation at board meetings. And we had quite a bit of discussion about this, and I think, well, I don't know if everyone agreed, but essentially the change was to give a time limit to the public comment period in the board meeting. And initially, when we introduced it for first reading, it was 15 minutes. And I would like to make a motion that we amend that to 30 minutes. And that's
Second.
There is a motion to amend the policy to 30 minutes. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor? Those opposed? Okay, so the new motion is with the 30 minutes involved.
Yeah, so then I would make a motion that we accept the change to public participation at board meetings for second reading.
Do I hear a motion? In a second?
Which one?
All right. And, Melanie,
Mark?
right.
Okay.
Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor? Those opposed? It passes.
And, oh boy, do I have any yellow? No yellow. I would make a motion that we accept for second reading changes to admission of non-immigrant foreign students.
Second.
And if I remember correctly, the change had to do with superintendent
Yep.
agreement.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only change, because that was not in there before. It was all about tuition students. And then occasionally we have a superintendent's agreement from somebody who wants to come over here and lives out of town. Yeah, I think you're right, that's the only change.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? It passes. Transportation.
So we met, it was last week, 2 weeks ago. Can't remember now. Quick and easy meeting. Larry came and gave us a rundown of the start of the school year. Things went good. We are experiencing some difficulties because we are down 6 drivers. If anybody knows anybody that wants to drive a bus for the district, please put them in touch with someone in the transportation department. So to combat that, we've combined some runs, which has had its own hurdles, but we're making it work. The van purchase for the handicap van is going to make a big difference in that. That takes a bus driver from that. Currently, we're running a bus, a handicap bus, which requires a CDL passenger driver. So that will free up one driver to put in the roster. The van driver can now operate that van with an aide. So I think we voted at the committee level to go ahead with that purchase
Both the finance
and transportation. So that'll help there. It'll be a little bit till we get the van. But we're racking up the miles on the buses. It was really eye-opening to see. If you're reading the notes here, we have 31,000 miles on the vans and 88,000 miles on the buses since the beginning of the school year. So all those 10-mile runs they add up quick. We do have, we had one new bus delivered. We're still waiting on another. Is that here yet? No.
I don't think so.
It's due here pretty soon.
Anytime.
So we've got another bus coming. And I brought it up at the Transportation Committee meeting, but I also like to bring it up here, because when come budget time, it kind of gets lost in translation. But every new bus that we put in our fleet, we are reducing our consumption of fuel by about 50%. So for each run. And so when transportation puts a line item on there, I'd like that to be thought of when we think about the budget and what we're cutting. There are some things that we do need in the garage that we'll be probably asking for this year again. So we do every new bus we save a lot in fuel. So it's doing we're I think we're just about 50% of the Cummins powered buses. Our old buses were getting around 4 to 5 miles per gallon. We're up around 9 now. So it's really pretty good. And we did talk quickly about the winter maintenance. It seems like we're pretty well squared away for our crew to take care of this, the lot across the street and the transportation to the garage. So that pretty much sums it up.
Any questions for transportation?
What does one need to be a bus driver as far as a license or certification?
So we train drivers. That's a little bit of a longer process. So you start out as a van driver and get your CDL training. But a CDL Class B with passenger rating is the sign on and drive.
And where does we do that training here, or does somebody go somewhere else?
We do the training right here, and so it's in-house, and I think
And then they go to the DMV to get
they go to the DMV and get the license. Yep.
Yeah, Larry will
No, but I
train.
think if people ask, or people who don't know, who might be watching.
Yep.
Right.
They're walking off the street. And,
So it's nice to know that we trained our bus drivers.
I didn't know that actually.
We train, Larry goes through the tests with them, there's 16 hours of training that they need to go through, but Larry would walk them through that, all that they need for that, all the driving in the parking lot over here, you see those cones set up, a lot of times you see buses over there. That's somebody going through the pre-trip checklist and all the things that you would go through in the exact same scenario, but if you were going to get your bus license, so we do it all.
Any questions?
I see Larry's resigning. What are the prospects there?
We have done another interview, and I'm in negotiations with that person. The person is not from in-district this time, but I'm working on it. And I will bring somebody forward to you at the December meeting. And then Larry, I'm hoping that there will be a time when the two of them can work together prior to them coming on board.
Any other questions for transportation? Moving on, negotiations, nothing? Tri-County?
We did have a meeting, and I think a lot of it was the meeting before, we didn't have a quorum, so it was all kind of a lot of information. I think we did want to know about the welding, and Jason's about ready to get power up there. That's kind of an ongoing ordeal. They have done some construction, or working on some construction for the buildings. They had to move some things out to make room for welding and a couple other programs, so that they are now working on a wooden structure. Steel?
Steel, so we get a building delivered on December 5th, and the welding and building trades are going to construct that, do the ground-up construction of that building.
Right, and they're also working on the house for the Kiwanis.
Kiwanis.
Kiwanis, yep, they're working on a house for the Kiwanis. So there's a lot going on.
Yep. And tomorrow we have Trades for Me, which is introducing young women to alternative trades that are not predominantly female. So we have 104 students from all the sending districts coming, 8th grade to 10th.
That's about it, I can remember.
Any questions for Tri-County? Moving on. Extracurricular, we have not had, that will be in December. Right. Thank you. Moving on
Dave,
to,
can you remind me to talk to Gene about that, like December ad hoc meeting?
no old business, but we do have some new business.
Yes, so when we interviewed these contractors for the job, we were kind of really focused on just the boiler project at Dixmont. And when each one of these, when we had to kind of redo the RFQ, if you remember, to an RFP, it needed to go out to more of an energy efficiency audit type of project. And so when everybody came through, they knew that we would, and I think I said this at our last meeting, we didn't go into the pre-K special ed realm just to try to make money or do anything other than just try to take care of those kids. But coincidentally, if you are in the pre-K special ed cohort number 1, you have a little bit more preference for the revolving renovation fund for a certain amount of money for buildings. And it is life support and, not life support, but critical life, no, more like life safety, okay? So Siemens helped us, and so a couple of the people that came to the table were saying, we'll help you write the whole grant. You know, we've done, we make all these millions for people under these efficiencies, so it was an interesting twist to the whole thing. And so what happened is that it'll be a process. There's no guarantee that we will get this grant, but we definitely have to have board approval. And Robin had to sign off that she was, kind of in favor of it moving forward. We'll probably, if we get it, we're going to have a referendum. And what happens is that we get 60%. We get a 10-year loan at X number of dollars, and we only have to pay they only pay the percentage that we pay for any state reimbursement. So I think it's like 60% would be forgiven. We'd only have to pay the 40. It's an interest-free loan over 20 years. So there is no real reason not to go after that money because we knew what we were going to pay out anyway for the boiler project. So where it stands right now is we at least have to have permission. We've submitted the grant. We don't know if we'll get the grant. I think it's upwards of $1 million to try to do the bathrooms at Etna. Remember, we talked, if you've been on the finance committee, those bathrooms are not ADA compliant in a lot of ways, and that's a big chunk of this project, plus the boiler and trying to get the generator as part of this project. So, long story short is it's kind of like the money, we didn't think the money would be there to do the project, and we may get more, because they'll also do an energy audit, as Chris mentioned, of the building, of the envelope, and it's not like we have to do those things right away, but we could definitely put them on a capital improvement list and say, do you want to, at some point in time, do you want to take a look at the windows? Do you want to take a look at the insulation? And hopefully they would do that to all our buildings, so as we go forward, we'll have a really good standing of where we are with our, kind of the capacity of our buildings along this line. So I'll take any questions if any of that didn't make sense, but basically just to go through the process, they're going to want to know that we have board support to apply for that grant. The building committee was behind it. I think it's a great idea. It's interest-free for a very deferred length of time. And most, I would say between Joe's a little more conservative than I am. I would between 65 and % of it will be forgiven by the state. So, questions?
Motion?
Move that we accept, or we recommend, accept the application for the revolving renovation loan.
Second.
Motion.
Approved.
Motion and a second to approve that. Any discussion? No.
How much is the estimate?
We got a vote first.
Discussion.
Do you remember how much we put in? I want to say it was $1 million, upwards of $1 million.
Do you remember, because we've been talking about this for a while, do you remember what the original estimate was 3 or 4 years ago when we began talking about this?
The one bathroom was $60,000.
Yeah, because now it includes more, but it
It's-
includes this
it-
really great
Yeah,
program.
includes all those bathrooms.
I
So
just
that's,
was wondering what the difference
400.
was between without it
yeah.
and what versus when we first started.
Yeah.
It's huge.
There was at least three something for bathrooms, and then the boiler is, on top of that. So it's a substantial amount. Grant application.
Chad?
The interest rate, is that for the life of the
Yes.
loan?
Yep.
How come we're not using capital fund?
Well, if we don't get this loan, we will be. We've already gone down that road to approve the fact that we're going to do this either out of capital reserve, or if we have balance left over and we put that forward towards that project specifically, we will do that out of our regular budget, or use capital. I mean, there's no going backwards on the boiler room. We are
Yeah,
down the road on that one. These bathrooms are like
I've seen them.
icing on top of the cake, basically.
Yeah, we had planned on using capital reserve until we didn't know about this, that we qualified for this.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be local, within the budget, or within our money.
All right.
So just to be clear, by applying for this grant, we would essentially be paying less money and getting more projects done?
Potentially.
Or even anyways?
Yeah, I don't know as the whole boiler project, the boiler project isn't as high up on your life safety as the bathrooms and potentially the generator. But it does encompass down the line, the boiler project is still in the loop, but it's not as high up. We were hoping it would be like the boiler project is the most important thing to
Because
do.
that's what we really needed.
It was that, because that's what we knew we needed. But if you're gonna get this money at another price, can you put in and get the bathrooms paid for the loan, you know what I mean?
It's still going to greatly offset the cost.
I just wanted to understand it.
Any further questions?
So we'll have the numbers, the 40 or 35% before it hits referendum?
Yeah, oh yes, we'll have all the details spelled out for exactly what it gets, what we're gonna get back from the state, what the, yeah, we'll have all this.
What month are we targeting for that?
Well, I can't remember if they give it to us in late in the year, I believe, and then we've already picked the, it's like you're gonna know this in June or April, and we're gonna get everything together and do our referendum on the same day we would do our budget referendum.
Good idea.
And all that information will come out as soon as we know. But I'll give you the figures on what we put in for the application.
Anything else? Hearing none, all those in favor? Those opposed? It passes. Staff resignations.
Yes, Larry, the transportation director, he's going to continue to drive, so there's a little bit of a silver lining there. Ken Hayward, special ed teacher, Spastic Elementary School. Mandy Young, Ed Tech 1, special ed, Homeless Regional Middle School. Joe Levesque is getting done being a custodian, but he's still going to help us with our esports. Dorothy Eldridge, special ed teacher, Spastic Elementary School. Oh, wait a minute, that's a nomination. That's a nomination, sorry.
So with staff resignations, you do not have to take action on it. So staff nomination.
Yes, Dorothy Eldridge, from an ed tech up to a special ed teacher at Spastic Elementary School in life skills. And Megan Kemp, speech language pathologist, coming back to us from last year.
Do I hear a motion to accept?
Second.
Motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Those opposed? It passes. moving on to staff appointments.
Yes, we have Daily Pitcher at Tech 1 at Special Ed in Somerset, Nikki Merrow at Tech 2 Special Ed, Somerset, Angela Bouvier Cook at Gomez Regional Middle School, High School, David Jelanese, custodian at EVS, Wyatt Rutherford, custodian at Gomez Regional Middle School, Chris Peterson is a full-time, he's been a sub van driver, now he's going to be a full-time. Crystal Bellegeron at Tech 3 Special Ed, Basketball Middle School, and Lorna Jelanese. There is a connection between the two Jelaneses at Tech 1 Special Ed and EDS. They are husband and wife.
As long as there's no nepotism,
No,
they're all
there's
set.
nothing. And then transfer Angie Gibney went from teacher at EDS to help Stella with the District P grade, doing some observations and helping out in that area with those 64 special ed pre-K kids.
Perfect. Any future agenda items?
I had something that I wanted to bring up. I was just curious if there was a plan to hire a nurse full-time at Etna instead of having a nurse split between Etna and the high school, just because they're really far away from each other. And being an elementary school and just medication administration alone is kind of like a full-time job, and with illnesses coming up and everything else. Is there any type of plan to hire a full-time nurse at Etna?
I would say our nurse situation is constantly in flux, and we continue to analyze whether we can have one at this building or whether we can go back to one at every school. So it's a constant. We constantly think about it because we've had so many changes over the last few years. Ideally, it's nice to have a nurse in every school. Can we put that together? I think we talk about it like this is kind of like. This is kind of like uncharted territory, going back to having 4, and then we thought that we would have a little bit more capacity through Hometown Health, and I actually met with Hometown Health last week to see how much capacity they have to help and support us here at the clinic. So to answer your question, it's kind of an ongoing conversation, and we'll continue to review it, because I know the principals love having those people in the buildings, and they're very important.
So there is not a definite plan right at the moment, but they are looking into it.
We look at it all the time.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Anything else? Next meeting date? Can I shut my phone off because it's noisy?
Second Tuesday.
When is it? December 10th. If that is it, good night.
Yeah.